Hi BookTube, Sarah here, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm coming to you with my May 2020 wrap-up and stats. So this is a little bit delayed. It should have come out last week, but we're here now, so why not? I'm in a bit of a different filming location. You're probably going to see the light coming in and out. There's both we and people behind us have pools, and this window faces west. So that sunlight that's coming in the afternoon, because it's almost like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, is hitting the water, and it makes these really weird shadows. I was sitting in front of that window originally, which is where I tend to sit now for my videos, and it was psyching me out, like watching it on my screen. I was like, no, this is making me seasick. I'm gonna go film in front of the bookcase. So if the light comes in and out, that is the reason why. But anyway, yeah, so here we are. So wrap up and stats. As I like doing in these videos every month, I share with you guys my stats for the month because I do love keeping track of them, and I'm a stats person. And then I go through all the challenges and potential events and stuff like that that I did over the course of the month. And then I'm going to share with you guys my top 5 books of the month. So let's get started. First off, I read 27 books in the month of May. I was trying for a book a day in May. That did not happen, but that's okay. 27 books is nothing to sneeze at. I was very, very pleased with that. And yeah, so that puts me 12 books ahead of schedule for my Goodreads goal. I'm at 112 out of 240 books, 47% complete on that challenge, but I'm not touching that challenge. I'm not raising the amount or anything at all like that. I'm just going to see where I end up at the end of the year. So for star ratings, I had 1 1.5 star book, 1 3-star book, 7 3.5 star books, 10 4-star books, 7 4.5 star books, and a single 5-star book this month. I read, no surprise here, 11 contemporary romances, 4 historical romance, 3 romantic suspense, 3 women's fiction, 2 mystery, 1 chick lit, 1 middle grade fiction, 1 paranormal romance, and I read a thriller. I like keeping track of the Harlequin imprints that I read to find out how many of each of the different imprints I read every month, and I read 1 each from the Blaze, Intrigue, and Romantic Suspense lines. I read 24 books geared towards an adult audience, 1 middle grade and 2 YA. I read 1 book published in the 1940s, that was the Nancy Drew that I read, of course, 1 from the 1980s, which I believe was the Babysitter's Club book, 2 from the 90s, 1 from the 2000s, 12 books that were published between 2010 and 2019, and 10 books published this year in 2020, so that's pretty awesome. I read 17 audiobooks and 10 ebooks. 26 of the books that I read were full-length novels. 1 was a novella. And as for series, 20 of the books that I read were part of series. 7 of them were standalones. Of those 20 that were part of a series, 14 of them were part of ongoing series that I'm currently reading. I started 5 new series this month, you guys. Not so great, but it is what it is. And I completed a series, which is always good. I'd like that number to be higher, but we'll get there eventually. I read a grand total of 8,303 pages in the month of May, averaging to about 268 pages a day. So really, really good month for May. Very, very happy with that. So as for challenges and events, really I did participate in the Pass the Parcel Challenge as part of the Romance Readers Reading Group on Goodreads, along with the Amazing Race Challenge. And I'm sorry, I forgot to write down that information of exactly, what I did for those, but I did keep track of the monthly challenge. So what I used to do when I did my TBRs was I would share with you guys what all the prompts were for the monthly challenge for the Romance Readers Reading Group on Goodreads. And I would tell you guys what books I was picking to read for those challenges. I changed it up. I started changing it up in April, but I really changed it up in May, where I didn't share with you guys that information. I didn't share with you guys the list or the prompts or anything at all like that. And instead what I did was I had them on I had a separate sheet of all the prompts. And then as I finished books throughout the month, I would go ahead and look to see where I could slot them in. And guys, it was so much easier if you pick after the fact. Like, here are your prompts and here are the things you need to look for. If you have a large TBR or you're reading a bunch of books, try and slot them in afterward. I found it easier because sometimes some of the prompts are like, read a book. Like one of the secondary prompts could be where the main characters drink alcohol. Well, you're not really going to know that until you read the book, right? So, you know, some of these were pretty easy, self-explanatory. You could have gotten that information from the cover or from reading the back of the book, but some of them were stuff that was found within the text. So yeah, so that was kind of fun. So I'm going to go through, see, the light is just crazy. So I'm going to go through all the prompts and share with you guys what books I read for those prompts. So for the first one was Happy Birthday May. Read a book published in May, or read a book with green on the cover in honor of May's birthstone, the emerald. So I read Chasing Trouble in Texas by Delores Fossen. Its publication date was May of 2020. It was one of my NetGalley reads for the month of May. For Flower of the Month was Lily of the Valley, and it was the Lily of the Valley symbolizes sweetness, motherhood, and humility. It's also sometimes called Maybells of Mary's Tears and is very poisonous. Read a book that has a sweet character, or read a book where the main character is a mother or a mother figure, or read a book that has some white on the cover. I read Certified Cowboy by Rita Heron, where in this one the main character is a mother. For number 3, which is the featured author challenge, and this month it was Serena Bowen. I did not read Serena Bowen. So it says read one book written by Serena Bowen or any author with her first or last name. You may also read a book that has an author with the initials S and or B, or read a book with a page count that also has a number 0, 1, or 3 in it. So I read Duke Most Wanted by Celeste Bradley. Bradley, of course, starts with the letter B, so it fits the prompt. Number 4, May is Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. This is because May was the month when the first Japanese immigrants to the United States, May 7th, 1843, when the first of the Japanese immigrated to the United States. And May was also the anniversary of the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad, where Chinese immigrants were mostly workers, May 10th, 1869. Read a book with an Asian American Pacific Islander main character, or where the main characters travel, bonus points if they travel by train, plane, or boat. Or read a book where the main characters eat Chinese, Japanese, Filipino, Korean, Thai, etc. food. And I read Waiting for Tom Hanks by Kerry Winfrey. In this one, the main character travels by plane in the book. Number 5, May the 5th is Cinco de Mayo, but it's also National Teachers Day. Now more than ever, especially if you have been homeschooling your kids, we need to show appreciation to our teachers. Read a book with a teacher main character or a book with a child or children. You can also read a book with the Mexican-American flag colors red, white, or green to commemorate the Mexican Army's victory over the French Empire. And I read Her Seafaring Scoundrel by Sophie Barnes. This one has a very predominantly green cover, in my opinion. Really? Just checking it out, sir. Is it acceptable, B? Prompt number 6. May the 6th is National Nurses Day. Again, now more than ever, we understand the important role that nurses play as first responders. Along with other hospital staff, we need to honor our nurses. Read a book with a nurse main character or other first responder, doctor, police officer, firefighter, etc. You can also read a book with a page count that has the numbers 5, 1, or 2 to commemorate Florence Nightingale's birthday on May the 12th. And I read This Is How I Lied by Heather Gudenkauf. In this story, our main character is a police officer. Number 7. May 21st is National Waiters and Waitresses Day. All over the world, restaurants are fighting to stay open. We need to recognize the importance of good waiters and waitresses. Read a book with a main character that is in the restaurant industry, owner, chef, waiter, waitress, etc., or read a book with a type of food found in a restaurant on the cover. You can also read a book that was recommended to you as a good tip, quote-unquote tip. And I read Under an Alaskan Sky by Jennifer Snow. Our main character in this one is a bartender. May the 25th is National Wine Day. Many people right now are drinking wine more than ever, so let's celebrate this alcoholic beverage made from fermented grapes or other fruits. Read a book that is set in a country where they produce wine. Italy, France, Spain, or the United States. Wine is also produced in Canada, in the Niagara region of Canada. It is beautiful down there in the wine. Oh, and their ice wine is delightful. Anyway, sorry, that was a complete side note. Or read a book where the main characters drink wine or another type of alcoholic beverage. You can also read a book that includes the letters W-I-N-E in the author's name, book title, or series title. And I read Pleasing Her Seal by Anne Marsh. In this one, they are on a tropical island and they are drinking some alcohol in the book. And number 9, May 31st is National Macaroon Day. Macaroon or macaron? Potato, potato. No, just kidding. Macaroons and macarons, is that how you say it? I don't know, are two different cookies. Macaroons are coconut based, where, oh, I'm probably saying it wrong. I know which ones. I cannot say that word. I need to look it up how to actually phonetically say it. Are the meringue based ones, which are delightful as well. Both are delicious, as it says. Yes, I agree. Read a book set in Italy, since that's where macaroons originated from. Or read a book where one of the main characters eats a baked good. Bonus points if it's a cookie. More bonus points if it's a macaroon. You can also read a book where there is a circular object or something brown on the cover, since the 5 most popular flavors of macaroons in America is coconut. And I read Playing for Keeps by Jill Shalvis. In this book, the characters are always eating baked goods. They are Tina's muffins. For those of you who have read the Heartbreaker Bay series, you know Tina is a transgender character who runs a local bakery and makes the best muffins ever. And she's like talked about in every book. It's delightful. And number 10, Reader's Choice, of course. Read any book of your choosing. Once I finished all the other prompts, I just slotted the next book that I finished in for this, and it was The Marigold Sisters by Michelle Major. So yeah, so there was my Triple RC challenge, and this is now, what did I say it is? 4 years and 5 months I have completed this challenge every month, so not too shabby. We're coming up on my 5-year anniversary. It's very exciting. So on to my top 5 books for the month of May. So as I like to say in these, I go from my least most favorite to my most favorite. So coming in spot number 5 is, of course, as I just mentioned, Playing for Keeps by Jill Shalvis. I gave this one 4.5 stars. This was Sadie and Caleb's story. It was absolutely delightful. Sadie has a pretty difficult upbringing, and Caleb is a bit of a loner, and the two of them have known each other for a little while, and then they find this abandoned dog, and they decide to co-parent this poor little dog named, what's the dog's name? Lollipop? I think it was Lollipop, and it's a French, like a part French bulldog, I think. But yeah, this one was a lot of fun in true Jill Shalvis style. Like, I love these books. The dialogue, the characters, it's all fantastic, and I absolutely recommend not only this book, but the whole Heartbreaker Bay series. Coming in spot number 4 is Family for Beginners by Sarah Morgan. I gave this one 4.5 stars. This was definitely a women's fiction novel. The cover that I'm showing you up here is the cover I actually prefer, which is the UK cover. So if you're looking this book up and you're like, that book doesn't look like what Sarah showed, that's the reason why. I just prefer this cover. I think it's more pleasing to the eye. Anyway, this is a women's fiction novel about a woman by the name of Flora who meets a guy by the name of Jack. And a year earlier, Jack's wife passed away, and he's got 2 daughters, a 17-year-old and an 8-year-old. And the two of them start dating, and of course it's her dealing with the new family, and the kids try to deal with her, and then of course secrets surrounding kind of what happened before his wife's death. She died of an aneurysm, so there was no hanky-panky to do with her death, if you will. But it was definitely some unanswered questions, you know, were kind of going on before and after she died. So it was really good, highly enjoyable. Again, 4.5 stars. Absolutely recommend. Coming in spot number 3 was Waiting for Tom Hanks by Kerry Winfrey. This one I also gave 4.5 stars to. This is the story of Annie and Drew. And Annie has her sights set on being the next Nora Ephron, the one who did all those romantic movies from the 80s that we all love so much, that all starred Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan. And she gets a chance to work on a movie that's being filmed in her town. And of course, it's the relationship between her and the main star, Drew. And it was delightful. I buddy read this one with Chloe over at Always Booked, and I'll leave a link to her channel in the description box below. And, you know, both of us said the same thing. You have to suspend your disbelief for a lot of this book, but you have to do that with a lot of fiction, I believe. You know, these things are not necessarily going to happen in real life, but that's part of the fun of fiction. You know what I mean? You get to step outside of reality and read something different, and, you know, that's not the norm, you know? And it was a lot of fun, really delightful. If you're a fan of rom-com movies, you need to read this book. There is going to be a second book coming out later this year, I believe, and I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, great cast of characters, great setting. This one was highly enjoyable. Again, absolutely recommend. Coming in spot number 2 for a different change of pace is This Is How I Lied by Heather Gudenkauf. I gave this one as well 4.5 stars. And this is a thriller, so I don't want to talk too much on the premise of this book. I can tell you this book is amazingly written. Heather Gudenkauf is one of the first thriller writers I ever read, and I have not been disappointed with one of her novels at all. And this one is about a woman named Maggie who 25 years ago, her best friend was killed under mysterious circumstances, and they never caught who killed the friend. And now there is new evidence in the case, and they are trying to find out who killed her friend. It's a cold case, essentially. So, so good. Really, really entertaining. I absolutely recommend it. Absolutely loved it. If you are a thriller reader and you have not tried out this author, definitely do. I, of course, recommend this one. I think Last Breath was the one that she did about the school shooting. And then there's also the first one by her that I ever read, which was The Weight of Silence, which was absolutely fantastic as well. So I highly recommend those books for sure. Those are the three right off the top of my head that I can recommend, but definitely check out this author's back catalog. You will not be disappointed. And coming in first place, top of the list for this month, was The Duchess Deal by Tessa Dare. I gave this one 5 stars. This was my 1 5-star read of the month. This was, of course, a historical fiction novel, or historical romance novel, excuse me. And this is the story of Emma and Ash. And it, right from the get-go, just drew me in. Tessa Dare and Julia Quinn, in my opinion, are two characters that can write witty banter better than just about anybody, especially for the historical romances. The banter and the discussion between Ash and Emma throughout this whole story was delightful. So, Emma is a shopkeeper, and she's actually a seamstress, excuse me. And Ash is, of course, a duke. And he needs a wife, because he needs an heir. He doesn't necessarily care about having the wife. He just wants, what happens when you get married. And, the producing of the heirs and the spares, potentially. So she walks into his shop walks into his house due to circumstance. And he's like, how about you just marry me? Because you're of childbearing age. You're passably good looking. This is what he's saying to her. So, of course it's going to, raise her up into society. So she, actually, it takes her a bit to actually agree to it. He kind of has to pressure her just a little bit. Really kind of hound her and like, come on, you want to marry me? And after that, they get married, and it's just delightful. The secondary characters in this story, I cannot remember his name now, but Ash's valet is just so witty with that very dry sense of humor, and he's so great. And there's a great running gag throughout the entire book of her, because he's insisting that she call him the Duke, or, Ashford, or whatever his name actually is. And she doesn't want to, so she's giving him all these pet names like Schnookums, and, Buttercup, and Cupcake, and he gets so mad. But it is absolutely fantastic. If you like historical romances, give this one a shot. This is definitely, as I've been telling everybody, my new favorite Tessa Dare. I absolutely loved it. So anyway, guys, that is all that I have for this video today. I do hope that you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments below what was your favorite book that you read in the month of May. And until my next video, everybody, take care and happy reading. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye, guys.